The incredible revelation of Judah, the man who betrayed his own brother for 30 pieces of silver, in the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. The land of Canaan lay unyielding under the scorching sun. Amongst the arid hills there dwelled the sons of Jacob, shepherds of sheep who yearned for their father's favor. Judah, the 4th son, wandered amidst the sun-drenched fields, his heart a tumult of envy and despair. The sight of his brother Joseph, draped in a multicolored coat of favor, fed the embers of resentment within him. This coat, a vivid emblem of Jacob's love, stung Judah's very soul, casting a long shadow over their family. Each day, their father would shower Joseph with attention, while the rest of the brothers toiled in the fields, their hearts heavy with the weight of unacknowledged labor and anger. At night, as they gathered around the flickering campfire, whispers of treachery danced in the air. Judah sat silently, grappling with conflicted thoughts. Loyalty battled against his bitterness, a fierce internal tempest. Then, as darkness enveloped the land, the bitterness erupted. Their resentment, once suppressed, surged forth, and together they hatched a plan. They seized Joseph and stripped him of his cherished coat, plunging him into a pit, a deep, echoing tomb that mirrored the cavern within Judah's heart. Faced with the panic in Joseph's eyes, Judah faltered, yet the desire for momentary gain constricted his heart. In that moment, it was Judah who proposed the heinous act of selling Joseph to the passing Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, a decision that reverberated with grave consequences. As he watched Joseph's bewilderment, Judah felt the weight of betrayal settle upon him, far heavier than the jingling of coins in his pocket. Years passed, and famine crept over the land like a shadow. Desperation clawed at Judah's family. They had heard whispers of grain in Egypt, a land ruled by mysterious power. Reluctantly, Judah accompanied his brothers on the journey, a sense of foreboding enveloping them as they approached the gates of the Egyptian court. Little did they know that the hand of God was guiding their steps toward a reunion forged in trials. Upon entering, Judah's gaze fell upon the man of authority, cloaked in regal garments, wisdom radiating from his countenance. Joseph, now unrecognizable. Anxiety seized their hearts as Joseph, veiled in authority and bearing the weight of their past transgressions, accused them of being spies. As they stood there, trembling, it was Judah who sensed the gravity of his earlier betrayal beginning to unfurl. The very threads of their past wove a tapestry of dread around him. When Joseph threatened to enslave Benjamin, Judah felt the storm of guilt rise within him. Clenching his fists, he stepped forward, a veil of vulnerability enveloping him as he cried out for mercy, offering his own life for Benjamin's sake. In that moment, Judah found himself transformed, a guardian of his brother, guided not by jealousy, but by a newfound love ignited by divine grace. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As Judah's plea hung in the air, with the remnants of their past failures swirling around them, a divine moment awaited. What would Joseph's response be? Would the very bonds of brotherhood, once shattered by envy, be reforged in the fires of humility and love? In this moment, God's purpose loomed on the horizon, a promise of restoration yet to unfold amidst the backdrop of betrayal and grace. Then Joseph, unable to contain the tumult of emotion within him, turned away and wept. The sound of his sorrow pierced the air, reverberating in the hearts of his brothers, bringing forth memories of their cruelty. Joseph, having recognized their transformation, felt the burden of the past lift as he summoned his inner strength. He turned once more to his brothers, now filled with compassion and an urgency to reveal the truth. "Brothers," he began, his voice trembling yet resolute, "I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." The revelation hung heavily, as silence enveloped the room, each brother frozen by shock and disbelief. Judah's heart raced, feeling the full weight of his actions crashing down like waves against a cliff. The man before him was no longer just Joseph. He was the embodiment of God's providence. As the truth sank in, Judah fell to the ground, bowing his head in shame and remorse. "Forgive me, brother, for what I have done. My heart was led astray by foolish pride, and I can only beg for your mercy." His voice trembled, heavy with the regret of betrayal and longing for forgiveness. Joseph stepped forward, gently lifting Judah to his feet, for he saw the sincerity in his brother's eyes. "Do not be afraid, for what you intended for evil, God has meant for good, to bring about the saving of many lives." Genesis 50 verse 20. The gravity of Joseph's words saturated the air with hope and redemption, a profound truth unfolding before them. As they embraced, the barriers of years broken by jealousy and pain crumbled like dust in the wind, replaced by a bond forged anew in grace. The brothers wept, their tears reflecting the depth of their transformed hearts. Judah, in that moment, stood no longer as the betrayer, but as a vessel of restoration, linking their shamed past with the promise of God's mercy. Immediately, Joseph instructed his attendants, "Go and bring my father Jacob to me, for my family must be reunited." The urgency in his tone conveyed the divine mission that lay before them. As the brothers hurried back to Canaan, fear and expectation intertwined within them. Their lives had shifted from despair to hope, for they carried tidings of redemption and reconciliation. They approached Jacob and recounted all that transpired, declaring the truth of Joseph's rise to power in Egypt. Seeing the wagons laden with gifts of grain and provisions sent by Joseph, Jacob's heart ignited with astonishment and faith. "It is enough," he proclaimed, his spirit rejuvenated. "My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Thus, they set forth, bound by a journey that would reunite them. The dusty paths echoed with renewed purpose, as they traversed the sands toward an unexpected future illuminated by divine resolution. As the weary travelers neared the borders of Egypt, a whisper stirred in the air, a divine promise waiting to materialize. The vision of God's sovereign plan was unfolding further still, for what seemed merely a reunion would become a catalyst for nations. The hearts of many were bound in waiting, for God was orchestrating something profound. What awaited them beyond the threshold of Egypt was a divine revelation that would echo through the generations to come, speaking to the destinies yet to be fulfilled in the lives of his people. And it came to pass that as they approached the land of Egypt, the sun began to set on the horizon, casting a golden hue upon the weary travelers. Jacob, filled with the anticipation of reunion with his beloved son, urged his sons onward. The hearts of the brothers were troubled yet hopeful, each step drawing them closer to the embrace of forgiveness and family. Upon entering the land, they were greeted with splendor. The fields of grain stretched wide, and the beauty of Egypt unfolded before their eyes. They were ushered into the presence of Joseph, adorned in the royal garments of authority, his face radiant with compassion. "Come near to me," Joseph commanded, and with trembling hearts, they stepped closer, aware of the momentousness of the occasion. The air was thick with emotion, each glance exchanged heavy with the weight of their past. "Joseph," he exclaimed, "I am your brother, the one you thought lost." His voice rang clear, piercing through the veil of shame. "In your hands now lies the hope of our family and that of many nations. You thought to harm me, but see how the Lord has turned it to good." Judah, standing among his brethren, felt a flame ignite within him. "Lord, I am unworthy," he confessed, his eyes brimming with tears. "What can I ever offer you, the one I betrayed? We are but shadows of the men we once were. Now we seek not only forgiveness, but the understanding of what lies ahead of us. Joseph's countenance softened, for he recognized the heart of his brother had indeed transformed. "Fear not, for our God is a God of second chances. Go back to our father and tell him of my glory, the honor bestowed upon me, and the abundance that is at our door." The brothers listened intently, their hearts swelling with gratitude and reverence. Joseph bestowed gifts upon them, provisions and riches, each item a token of reconciliation woven in love. When the time came for Judah to speak, he recounted their father's grief and the trials they had faced since they sold Joseph into slavery. "We have returned to seek grace where once we sought judgment," he confessed, "for our father's spirit may be rekindled only through the knowledge that you still live." Joseph perceived the burden in Judah's heart and replied, "I shall take care of you and your families. The famine shall not be a snare for us. Your lives and the lives of our people shall be sustained in the land of Goshen." And the brothers marveled at the grace shown to them, for Joseph's words resonated deeply, awakening hope long buried beneath layers of guilt. Thus, they began their journey back towards Canaan, laden with blessings, united in spirit, a family reborn from the embers of despair. As they traveled, a thought flickered in Judah's mind, a spark of prophecy awaiting fulfillment. What lies before us must surely be the hand of the Almighty, for it has been said, "Out of Egypt I called my son," Hosea 11 verse 1. But what mysteries remain hidden that shall unfold in this land? The path stretched onward before them, and the divine plan loomed, rich with promise, a whisper of destiny echoing through the annals of time, calling them to embrace the future prepared. And it came to pass that as the brothers journeyed through the arid plains of Egypt, their thoughts were consumed by the magnitude of their encounter with Joseph. Each mile brought forth memories of what had transpired years ago, haunting them, yet compelling them toward a glimpse of redemption. Judah, ever contemplative, cast his eyes upon the horizon, pondering the significance of their return. As night fell, they encamped under the vast skies, the stars twinkling like promises yet unfulfilled. Judah gathered his brothers around the fire, saying, "Brothers, let us reflect on the grace shown to us. The weight of our past is heavy, yet look at what Joseph has done. Our brother is not only alive, but has been exalted. Our very lives are preserved by his hand." Reuben spoke, his voice trembling. "Will our father believe our words? How shall we convince him that his beloved son lives? For the anguish we caused him is a chasm filled with sorrow." "Fear not," Judah replied with fervor, "for the truth shall be our ally. We shall recount to him all that Joseph said, how he promised to shield us from the famine. He shall see the favor we have received and the abundance we carry back." Suddenly, the air thickened with a prophetic urgency as Judah felt a stirring within him. "Remember," he said, "the words of our father Isaac? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes." Genesis 49 verse 10. Is it possible that these events will weave into the greater story, the story of our people's deliverance? At that moment, an echo of divine assurance washed over them. Beneath the weight of their sins lay an extraordinary purpose. Tears brimmed in Judah's eyes as he continued, "God's hand is at work in our lives, shaping us not just into a family, but into a nation designed for his glory. The legacy of our ancestors shall not vanish as long as we heed his voice." As dawn approached, they resumed their journey, the scarlet hues of the sunrise ushering in new hope. Their hearts beat steady with shared resolve. In their hearts, they recalled how Joseph had reflected not just mercy, but a glimpse of God's providence. Upon nearing Canaan, the brothers could see their father's tent in the distance, a beacon of longing and love. Judah felt the burden of his past acutely, for he had been the one to suggest selling Joseph, the tragic catalyst of their family's discord. Yet, God's redemption was tangible. How could he share with Jacob not only the news of Joseph's life, but the unfolding destiny that linked their family to the nations? As they approached their father, a heavy silence fell. The brothers looked into each other's eyes. "Let us ensure our words are filled with truth and evidence," said Judah. "For what weight does a confession bear, if not joined with the examples of God's mercy?" The moment came as Jacob appeared, his worn face filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. "My sons, you return. Have you brought tidings of joy, or do I face further grief?" Judah stepped forward, his voice steady. "Father, we bring you glad tidings. Joseph lives. He reigns as Lord of all Egypt and has sent provisions for our sustenance." In that moment, the heavens seemed to bend down, enrapturing the air with a palpable anointing. Jacob's heart raced. The news penetrated deep, awakening a hope he thought lost forever. And as Jacob listened to the tales of Joseph, a profound realization dawned upon Judah. What we thought was calamity has woven a tapestry of revival, he whispered inwardly. The brothers stood in unity, perceiving the threads of their family's legacy interwoven with the threads of divine sovereignty. Yet, as Jacob embraced the truth of his son's survival, a question lingered in the atmosphere, a stirring of the spirit. What other wonders await us in this land? Judah mused, feeling the weight of a future undisclosed. Thus, the chapter of reunion set before them revealed but a glimpse of love's restoration, leaving them to ponder subsequent mysteries entwined within God's magnificent plan. Could it be that their descent into Egypt was merely a prelude to a greater exodus yet to come? As the sun rose over Canaan, the warmth of its rays bathed the land in golden light, symbolizing the dawning of a new chapter for Jacob and his sons. The air was ripe with expectation, and the brothers hastened to prepare for their father's embrace, their hearts pounding with joy and anxiety alike. "Come, brothers," Judah urged, his voice rich with urgency. "We must share all the wonders of Joseph's life, how the Lord has orchestrated this reunion." With every step, he recalled the forgiveness Joseph had shown, a testament of grace that hung heavily upon him like a mantle. Jacob gazed at his sons, his weathered heart laid bare. "Tell me, how did my son thrive in a foreign land? How is it he who once was lost is now a lord?" His eyes, filled with longing, searched their faces for the truth. Judah, emboldened by divine conviction, recounted their journey to Egypt and the trials they had faced. He spoke of their despair during the famine, how they were driven by hunger to seek aid, and how they stood before Joseph, not knowing his true identity, each word carefully crafted to weave the tapestry of their tale. He recognized us, Father, and instead of retribution, extended mercy. He bore no ill will, but offered sustenance instead. As the narrative unfolded, Jacob's face dimmed momentarily, reminders of the past danced unbidden in the recesses of his mind. But as Judah's voice rose in fervency, the bittersweet shadows began to lift. "And he commanded us to bring you to Egypt, to be near him, and to escape this famine. There is abundance awaiting us." At that declaration, Jacob's heart wavered between joy and trepidation. "But how shall I journey to a land where my son was lost? What if it is a snare to further my grief?" Then came a voice, gentle yet thunderous like waves upon the shore. "Fear not, for the God of your father has been with you, guiding every step." It was the voice of Judah, resonating with a newfound authority. Remember the promise spoken to our grandfather Abraham, that his descendants would dwell in a land not their own. As Jacob considered these things, the echo of the covenant and the reality of his son, his heart ignited. "So be it. I shall go, for I will not relinquish the opportunity to see Joseph alive." The fire rekindled within him. Hope surged in the marrow of his bones as he gathered his sons close. They set about preparing for the journey, gathering provisions and memories that would follow them across the threshold into Egypt. The entire family sensed a divine promise in the air, a revelation that this journey was not merely one toward nourishment, but a step forward in a God's unfolding plan. As they embarked on their travels, Jacob whispered fervently, "May El Shaddai guide us. May he grant us favor in this land." Each step taken toward Egypt was a step away from despair into the unknown, yet divinely ordained. In the midst of their journey, a dream took hold of Jacob as he slept, a vivid vision of a great multitude coming forth from his lineage, far greater than he could fathom. In this dream, the Lord himself spoke, "Fear not to go down to Egypt, for there I shall make you a great nation." Awakening, Jacob's heart swelled with an understanding more profound than ever. Their descent into Egypt was indeed a part of the promise, a covenant rekindled. The story of his family would intertwine with the destiny of nations, guided by the hand of Almighty God. Yet, as Jacob looked upon his sons, a sacred question gnawed at the edges of his mind: what trials must we endure before this vision is fulfilled? The path loomed ahead, shrouded in divine mystery, a reminder that God's plans often unfold in the most unexpected ways. Thus, as the family journeyed forth, a holy anticipation hung in the atmosphere. What other revelations awaited them in the land of Egypt, and how would they play their roles in the exquisite tapestry of divine grace and purpose yet to come? As Jacob and his sons approached the borders of Egypt, the land unfurled before them, marked by lush fields and the life-giving Nile, a stark contrast to the barren expanse of Canaan from which they had come. Each mile traversed stirred a blend of apprehension and powerful promise within Jacob, who, with every heartbeat, felt the weight of destiny pressing upon his shoulders. "Let us not tarry," Jacob declared, urgency shaping his tone as he quickened their pace. "My heart longs to see Joseph's face, the son whom I thought lost to the world." His sons, animated by their father's fervor, mirrored his zeal as they entered the vibrant city, bustling with life and colors that filled the air. Upon reaching Joseph's palace, a sense of both awe and foreboding washed over them. The grandeur of the place dwarfed their humble beginnings, and as they stood before the entrance, Judah spoke, "Father, shall we prepare ourselves? For surely we will need to humble ourselves before this Lord who holds our fate in his hands." As they presented themselves before Joseph, who stood resplendent in his Egyptian garb, the brothers could scarcely contain their emotions. Their father's heart fluttered with a profound mixture of hope and anxiety. The moment was heightened by the tension of unspoken truths and the memory of betrayal that hung like a specter over them. Joseph, recognizing them, yet intentionally veiled in his Egyptian identity, spoke with calm authority. "You are spies." His declaration pierced their hearts with dread. "You have come to see the nakedness of the land." "We are your servants," Judah implored, stepping forward to declare their innocence, the sons of one man. "We are honest men. We have not come to spy. We came for food, for famine grips our land." Judah's voice trembled with both desperation and the weight of their collective guilt, lingering like a shadow over their words. "Prove your words," Joseph countered, his eyes alight with a holy purpose. "Go back and bring your youngest brother to me. Then I shall know that you are not spies." His heart yearned for revelation, to see Benjamin, the brother of his youth, yet he must allow the wheel of divine design to turn unfettered, seeking both justice and mercy. Fearful murmurs filled the room as the brothers discussed among themselves. "What has God done to us?" Reuben lamented, clutching his brow in distress. "For we have wronged our brother Joseph, and now our guilt has come back to haunt us." Their dialogue was marked by lamentation and a profound realization that their past misdeeds rippled through their present, manifesting in ways they never predicted. As they departed, laden with provisions, yet heavy with the knowledge of their actions, the burden upon them pressed hard against the fabric of their lives, back in Canaan. Jacob's heart sank further as they relayed the new stipulation. "You must bring your youngest brother," they repeated. Jacob's eyes darted, first to his sons, then back to the barren landscape beyond. How could he risk the life of his last precious son? Yet deep within, the promise brewed a stirring reminder that God's hand worked through them, guiding each event, no matter how desperate. What if God is testing us? Simeon pondered aloud, seeking solace in shared reflections. What if this journey to Egypt is not merely for grain, but for redemption? In the quiet darkness of their home, Jacob wrestled with the struggle of faith and fear, the pull of loss against the whisper of hope. The divine vision lingered still in his heart. The promise of a great nation continued to shine like a beacon amidst turmoil. As the sun began to set, casting a golden haze over their dwelling, Jacob declared, "If I must go, then go we shall, but may the Lord of my fathers guide us, for I cannot forsake the one who is beloved among us." Thus, as the stars began to prick the sky, a swirling mystery enveloped their spirits. What divine plan awaited them in Egypt, and what revelations would unfold through the trials yet to come? All watched with bated breath, knowing that God's sovereign was unfolding, and the tapestry of their lives weaved together in his divine purpose was far from complete. As the dawning sun kissed the horizon, casting shadows over the land of Canaan, Jacob gathered his sons. The hearts of the brothers were heavy with the weight of their combined guilt and unspoken fears. The directives of Joseph loomed over them, a challenge that neither would escape nor ignore. "Go," Jacob urged, his voice steady yet laced with sorrow, "and bring me Benjamin. For I feel the stirrings of the Lord's hand upon us. We cannot forsake any chance to fulfill what is ordained." His words held the essence of a father's love and the shadow of a prophetic whisper, echoing memories of a covenant given to Abraham, Isaac, and himself, a promise of a great nation. The brothers made their preparations, gathering their provisions and setting their minds towards the daunting journey once again to Egypt. Each step away from their home felt like a step deeper into uncharted waters, where their histories coiled tightly around their present. As they approached the border of Egypt, Judah felt the weight of his lineage tugging at his heart. Once he had been driven by ambition and anger, leading his brothers astray, but now he found himself reflecting on the legacy they carried. "Must we not stand united?" he asked the others, a glimmer of resolve igniting in his eyes. "We have been fractured by our past, yet must we now yield once more to fear? The burden of our past deeds lies heavy, Judah," Reuben responded, swallowing against the knot in his throat. "Our decisions haunt us, and we must pay for what we have done." Yet Judah, emboldened by the spirit of hope, stepped forth and declared, "If the Lord of Egypt seeks our brother, I shall go in his stead. I shall offer myself as a pledge for Benjamin's safety. Let it be upon my head if harm comes to him, for I cannot endure the thought of returning to our father without him." In these words, he grasped for redemption and a chance to right the wrongs they had committed in the past. With resolve renewed and hearts still heavy, they set forth once more, the journey profound in its implications, and the specter of Joseph's visage haunting their thoughts. As they arrived at the palace, Joseph's heart raced with recognition and desire to reveal himself. He stood, cloaked in authority, yet beneath his regal facade swelled forth memories of shared childhood, laughter, and a bond of brotherhood. "Have you returned?" he asked coolly, surveying their faces. Yet within, he longed to see Benjamin, to test their commitment, mindful of the divine designs at play in every heartbeat. "Fear not, for we bring our brother," Judah proclaimed, stepping forward with Benjamin clasped tightly by his side. The brothers' hearts thudded in unison, mingling with apprehension and an ember of hope. Each word exchanged carried the weight of their history as they relayed their plight of famine and need. Yet Joseph observed them keenly, searching their faces for traces of the men they once were when he lay in a pit, stripped of his coat and sold for silver. Upon their return, the tension reached its peak. Joseph's heart swelled with withheld emotion, and as he revealed the abundance he had prepared, he could no longer contain the surge of recognition. The voice of the Lord echoed through the chambers of his heart. "This is how I have ordained your paths." Then, as the brothers feasted and sought to understand their circumstances, a divine hook sewed itself tightly within the fabric of their fate. Joseph, with tears only barely concealed, whispered among them, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result to preserve many lives." Thus, the stage was set, intricate with elements of betrayal, familial bonds, and the threads of divine redemption woven together. What mysteries awaited them, and what further fulfillment of prophecy would unfold before their eyes. Each heart felt the thrum of divine purpose as God's sovereign plan unraveled, leaving the air thick with expectancy for the days yet to come. As the grand banquet unfolded within the palace walls, the aroma of roasted lamb and fragrant spices filled the air, a feast intended to unite the estranged brothers of Jacob. The splendor was a stark contrast to the turmoil within their hearts. Yet Judah, emboldened by his resolve, felt a stirring deep within his soul. "Brothers," Judah began, rising from his seat amid the laughter and feasting, his voice echoing in the hall, "let us not forget the weight of our actions that have brought us to this table. I stand here not only as your brother, but as one who bears the burden of our family's sins." The murmurs around the table quieted as eyes turned toward him, each brother feeling the gravity of their past. Reuben, the firstborn, nodded solemnly. "Indeed, silence does not erase our guilt, nor does it light the way ahead. We must confront the shadows that linger." Their eyes collectively fell upon Benjamin, the youngest, whose presence illuminated the dangers they had narrowly averted. Yet, within Joseph's heart, a tempest brewed. He both cherished and grieved their ignorance. He yearned to embrace them, to declare their deliverance, but he was held captive by the mask he wore. Instead, he maintained his composure. "I have spared you," Joseph proclaimed in a measured tone. "But the true revelation of our paths lies not in fortune, but in the will of God." "Are you truly united?" "United we stand," Judah replied, with a passion that ignited hope among them. "I offer my life for our brother, for our father's sake. I vowed it before the throne of this Lord. If I need a scapegoat, then let it be I who bears this burden." At this, Joseph could no longer restrain the swell of emotions. He moved from his place and stepped away from the crowd. Alone, he took a moment to reflect on the years of suffering and estrangement. Memory washed over him the pit he had been cast into, the anguish of silence as he was sold by his own blood, the long nights gripped by loneliness. Then, as the weight of his memories pressed down, he inclined his ear towards heaven, seeking divine clarity. "O Lord," he breathed, "your promises' threads are woven into the fabric of our existence, yet our hearts are frail with disbelief. Grant me the courage to reveal the truth." No sooner had the words left his lips than the air seemed to grow taut, as if heaven itself paused to hear. When Joseph returned, the resolute path was etched across his face. "I am Joseph, your brother," he declared, his voice a deep river of longing and authority. "Is my father yet alive?" Gasps swept through the room, mingled with confusion, instinctively invoking fear of the vengeful brother they had betrayed. "Indeed, I am alive," Joseph continued, pushing through their astonishment. "You feared me, but your fears are unfounded, for I have been made a vessel of preservation." Amidst the confusion, Judah fell to his knees, tears streaming down, recognizing the cascade of grief and guilt washing over him. "Oh, my Lord, forgive us. We have wronged you deeply." "My brothers," Joseph replied tenderly, his voice saturated with grace, "do not be distressed. For what you meant for harm, God has redirected for good, to save countless lives, including our own." Thus, as the revelation unfolded, the brothers were given a glimpse into the sovereign plan of God, and in their hearts, a flicker of hope ignited amidst the remnants of despair. Their journey through treachery now embraced a path towards redemption. Yet in the shadows of their reunion, a whisper lingered in the air, a stirring of prophecy yet to be fulfilled. What further trials lay ahead, and how would God's purpose manifest in the lives of these 12? For the intricate web woven through their past promised more than reconciliation. It beckoned towards an unfolding destiny that would echo through generations yet to come. As the echoes of Joseph's declaration settled over the gathering, a profound stillness enveloped the hall. Each brother stood in a frozen tableau, the weight of realization carving deeper lines of regret upon their brows, for they beheld before them the brother they had cast aside, torn between guilt and the grace extended before them. Judah, still on his knees, raised his eyes towards Joseph, the truth crashing over him like waves upon a rocky shore. "You are indeed our brother," he uttered, voice trembling, "and we did you grievous harm. Yet you have chosen to forgive, to turn our darkest hour into a chance for light." Joseph stepped forward, and in that moment, the room filled with an air heavy with mercy. What was meant for destruction has been redeemed for a purpose greater than we can understand, he proclaimed. "I am not here to cast judgment, but to reveal the depths of God's providence. For it is by his sovereign design that I reign in this land. Your actions led to my suffering, but I am raised to a position of power for such a time as this." Reuben, still reeling from the revelation, leaned in closer, strained whispers escaping his lips. "But how, brother? How can everything we have done be woven in such a magnificent tapestry?" The eyes of Joseph softened, and he responded with the assurance of a heart touched by divine wisdom. "It is the kindness of our God that has preserved us," he said. "For so long I have walked the path of a stranger in a land far from home, and never did I forget the dreams that prophesied our future, where the sun and the moon bowed to me. God intended this moment, and the salvation of many rests within his hands." Yet deep within, a whisper of unease stirred in the hearts of the brothers. Old fears and suspicions lingered still. "What if Pharaoh learns of our past?" Benjamin questioned, his youthful face marred with concern. How might he respond to our betrayal? Joseph placed a reassuring hand on Benjamin's shoulder. "Fear not. The Lord has granted favor to me before Pharaoh, and I will speak on behalf of our family. We shall return to our father together, and with compassion I will plead for your lives and the lives of your households." And so it was that in the midst of their reunion, God began to unveil the expansive vision of his plan. The brothers gathered closer, their hearts stitching the frayed edges of their brokenness. They marveled at God's unfathomable grace, even while wrestling with the weight of the truth in their past. As the night wore on, Joseph directed them to gather provisions, oil, and grains, bounties of the land to carry back to Canaan. He bestowed gifts upon them, tokens of goodwill and mercy that would mend the years of scars. "Go, and tell my father," Joseph instructed, "of all my glory in Egypt and of all that you have seen. And let him know that there is yet more to come. A greater story is being told." But as they prepared to journey back, the air shifted with a divine expectancy. Joseph turned slightly, gazing into the distance, as if perceiving a reality beyond their own. "Brothers," he said with a rising urgency, "the dreams I once bore shall unfold in ways none of us expect. For not only does God await to bless us, but he shall also test the hearts of men in the coming days. There will be trials, but remember this: every wound may lead to healing, and every shadow to light." Therefore, they departed, hearts heavy, yet hopeful, as the dawn began to break over the horizon. Yet as they journeyed, a deeper mystery hung in the air, a whisper of the future yet unseen. What trials awaited them in their homeland, and how would God's purpose command a response? The brothers conversed, unaware of the greater unfolding one that echoed with the promise of deliverance and the profound truth that God weaves even the most intricate stories through the lives of those he loves. As the dawn began to break over the land of Egypt, casting its tender light upon the weary travelers, the sons of Jacob readied themselves for the return journey to Canaan. Hearts once heavy with guilt now beat in synchrony with newfound resolve, each man aware that they were not simply returning home, but embarking upon the sacred path of restoration. Judah walked among his brothers, a quiet strength illuminating his once tormented soul. "Brothers," he began, his voice steadier than before, "we must remember the weight of the blessings we carry and the grace that has been bestowed upon us. It is a heavy mantle, but with it comes a prophetic destiny that we must walk into with faith." In the quiet of the morning, as the air filled with the sense of the harvest, Judah recalled the dreams Joseph had shared, the visions wrought with meaning that had once been dismissed and feared by their family. The time has come for us to embrace our God-given purpose, he continued, for we have been drawn together by the threads of God's sovereign plan. Through our betrayal, he has woven a tapestry of salvation not just for us, but for many nations. With this revelation, they traveled onward, the rhythmic sound of their footsteps echoing the cadence of divine intention. As they crossed the border back into Canaan, the brothers felt a holy anticipation, eagerly bearing the weight of their father's long-lost son's miraculous revival alongside the grains that would sustain them through the hardships to come. Upon reaching their father's tent, Jacob, weary with waiting, sensed the impending happiness of a long-awaited reunion. Judah, stepping forward, felt the hesitancy wash over him. Once more the shadows of their past deeds loomed large in the space between them. But now he bore hope. "Father," he declared, trembling yet resolved, "we bring you good news. Joseph lives. He reigns as Lord over all Egypt and has sent provisions for you and our families." In that moment, the air stilled, suspended in the gravity of revelation. Jacob's eyes widened, a cascade of emotions flooding his heart. Is it true? Joseph lives? His voice cracked, a mixture of disbelief and joy surged within him. "Yes, Father," Judah continued, stepping into the glow of his father's astonishment. "With him, a new destiny awaits for our family. We are called to more than we could fathom, and we must go to him, lest we perish by famine." As the joy of restored kinship bubbled forth, Judah saw the flicker of hope ignite in Jacob's weary countenance. "My son lives," Jacob exclaimed, falling into a profound embrace, tears of years lost flowing freely. "I will go, for I cannot let this chance pass, to see the son whom I thought dead. We shall walk together into a new beginning." United, the family prepared to embark upon the journey south once more, laden with gifts from Joseph, proof of love, forgiveness, and a future. As they traversed the roads, stories poured forth from Judah's lips of mercy and redemption, of grace that cascaded down like living waters. There was a new light in his eyes, the burden of guilt lifted, replaced by the magnificence of divine purpose. Arriving at Joseph's palace, the grandiosity of the structure bore witness to the transformation wrought by their brother, yet Judah remained firmly anchored. "Here stands hope, not just for us, but for the generations to follow," he spoke to his brothers. Each one held within them the fear of their former sins, yet Judah called them to the remembrance of the mercy they had received. As they entered Joseph's presence, the air thickened with anticipation. Joseph stood before them, no longer hidden in the guise of the Egyptian ruler, but revealed in the authority that was ordained by God. The reunion poured forth like a river, sweeping them into the embrace of the divine narrative. "Come closer, dear brothers," Joseph said, tears mingling with laughter as they drew near. "For what you intended for evil, God has used for good, for the saving of many lives." This time, the echo of his words shimmered with the fullness of grace, each brother feeling a renewed sense of belonging. Within that sacred moment, the narrative shifted as they realized they were not merely witnesses of a past, but participants in God's elaborate design for their futures. Judah's heart swelled with gratitude as he looked upon Joseph, a man transformed, leading them not just as brothers, but as leaders of a burgeoning nation destined to flourish beneath the shelter of God's promise. As they resumed their lives in Egypt, the truth of their former darkness emerged as a paradox of light. Judah, now a light with purpose, understood that the trials ahead would forge a people destined for greatness, marked not by their failings but by the grace that had embraced their fractured souls. And so, the story of Joseph and Judah became emblematic of the sacred thread woven through lives, an indelible mark upon the fabric of a greater narrative, one of redemption, grace, and the unfathomable love of God that reaches across time. As you reflect on this incredible journey of reconciliation and Divine promise. You're invited to join the unfolding story. Make sure you subscribe now, for you need to stay connected to God's Word, for each tale brings forth tremendous power to heal and restore lives. Hit the like button now to join in spreading the light of God's truth throughout the world. Your voice matters in bringing hope. So comment below your reflections on how this powerful narrative of Judah and Joseph reshapes your faith. Don't wait even one more second. Share this compelling story with at least 5 friends who need encouragement and truth in their lives. For together, we can welcome more souls into the embrace of Christ.